This crispy chicken is from a taco place.
This crispy chicken is from a taco place?
The taco place?
Taco place. It comes in a burrito, too?
From your taco place, it's also a chicken place that's also a taco place.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cards are here, and you can only get them at Jackson's.
Start collecting them today.
Jackson's, let's go!
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN Live is presented by our title sponsor, RoadPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our major sponsors, Jackson's, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, Lithia Ford of Boise, and the Blue and Orange Store. For more coverage of Boise State athletics, check out the all-new BroncoNationNews.com, now part of the 247 Sports family. Now, here's five-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Wow, new intro. Even saw Michael Callahan make an appearance in the intro now. That means it is official. Mike, I even had the sound guy record the post-game intro for next Thursday at Uncle Bob's Pizza, and it says, let's welcome in former Bronco Michael Callahan. So you're no turning back now. You're in the intro video, and you're in the sound guy recorded your name, so you can't back out. But we got Mike Callahan. We got our man Winston Venable. It's Wednesday. And we're going to talk some Boise State football today. So how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, man. You know, a little Wednesday morning action. You blessed me here with old Mike Callahan, good friend of mine. So, dude, it's always a special day when you can get with some of these former Broncos that I had the pleasure of coaching at some point, probably in different roles. I was trying to think, Mike, you were what, 2019 or 2020 first year?
Yeah, 2019 first year.
Yeah, so I don't even know. Was I in the weight room then?
Yeah, I think you were doing the player development stuff.
Player development. Yeah, 2019 player development. There we go. And then 2020 went to the RB job, man, and a little special team. So, yeah, we go way back, BJ. You know, Mike was one of those rare dudes that similar to like Tyler Crow, a couple of these guys that are 6-year dudes that, you know, like I said, man, I had the honor to be connected with some of the former Broncos that are just now stepping away from the game. So Mike was one of them, and yeah, it'll be fun to have a little chat here.
Yeah, I saw Winston's name come up this morning when I was logging in, and I immediately got fired up. So this is going to be a good one.
I think all the fans were fired up. We always get to a lot of folks that enjoy hearing from Winston. We had that year where he was too cool for us, Winston. You're coaching your high school football and stuff, and you were negotiating too high of a deal, and so we didn't have Winston for a year there, and our viewership just tanked. But now that Winston came to his senses and got back in the fold here, all's good.
Bronco Nation, don't let BJ fool you. You know, I just got kicked to the curb for a little bit. You know, he had some bigger and better people that he wanted on board, and you know, he had to come bring me off the bench, I guess. So I guess I'm back worthy of being here. But no, don't let BJ fool you. I'm always down to connect with BJ and Bronco Nation, and no, I do appreciate it, man. I'm happy and really looking forward to the season, BJ and Mike. It's right around the corner, and you know, you just start, even though it's hot outside, you know, you start tasting a little bit of that fall weather. Some of these more reports, camps are slowing down a little bit, and it's like we're go time here pretty soon. So I'm fired up, man. I got my 3-year-old boy that starting to take interest in some sports. So there's going to be a lot of couch time watching some ball on Saturdays. I'll tell you that, or Thursdays, whichever one you want.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So got a lot of folks chiming in today on the YouTube chat here. Bill says watching from Minnesota. Let's go Broncos. D-Ray is in Melbourne, Florida, checking in today. We got folks all over the country. We got Chad watching from St. Luke's. Hey, we appreciate you as well, Chad. Surf City Bill is down in SoCo today. My son, I guess, apparently is in the McDonald's drive-thru. He had a dentist appointment this morning, so he's not back at school yet. So get on back to school there, son. But happy to hear no braces for another year, I guess. But, yeah, folks are watching from all over. We appreciate that. And as you said, Winston, 8 days until kickoff. They'll officially have, tomorrow being Thursday, and then I guess game week officially starts Friday. I don't know when they flip the page, but they've already started the scout and putting in the game plan for South Florida this week. The kind of week 0. So what does that entail for both of you guys? Fall camp is in the books. They had the depth chart, which we'll find out on Saturday when they announce it. But they've kind of decided all that after the second scrimmage, and they've got the game plan starting to go in this week. But what's the once you get into that week 0 and you start turning your attention towards South Florida and start watching a little film, I would assume that's when it starts to feel a little more real, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of where you turn the page from competing against the offense, for a little over 2 weeks every day, going up against, first string offense, first string defense, or, whatever combination they want to do to truly getting into scout mode and starting to get the game plan rolling for this game. I think that's when things start to feel real for sure. And at that point, it's kind of, who's going to be on the field for this team at that point within your program. You're starting to dial in what works, what doesn't work, what run fits are going to be a problem once we get to that game, unless we get them fixed right now, and things like that. So I think that's also the added benefit of having the bonus week is that you get that extra week of preparation and get to see different looks that you find on tape in a practice setting, and finding out what within your defense or within your offensive scheme work best and being able to find answers to those problems as the 2 weeks go on.
Absolutely, man. I think about some of those scout guys, right, and how important giving a good scout look is. I was a part of that sometimes, just making sure those guys were on the same page, but giving the starters a look, and sometimes it should feel the fire for some of those guys to be able to go up against some of the starters and not just give them a look and brother-in-law on, but, hey, like if I'm a DB and, I'm trying to lock down Latrell Caples, it gives those guys an opportunity to sharpen their craft and their toolbox. So, I think also some of those guys can take that a certain way where you learn you might be a scout team guy, and maybe that turns your attitude the wrong way. But the guys that excel and are really team guys, which Boise has a lot of team guys, right? I mean, it's all for that common goal. But, some guys probably thought they got some unfortunate news or a little bit of like, hey, you're going to be a third string guy or a scout team guy for us. And, how do they accept that role? And everybody's role is important. So I know those scout team guys are probably, going through a little bit of it mentally, but hopefully fired up to prepare those guys that are going on the road. It's a super important job.
Another long trip too. I guess we can get into that next week in terms of travel and going all the way down to Florida. But once you start, I think last night we had the Riley and Ridge show with Matt Lauder and Matt Wagner, and they were talking last night about once they got that first whatever it was, game plan or practice plan or whatever, where they realized they weren't going up against Jaden Virgin Morgan anymore. They were super excited for that. So once you start getting scout team looks and actually looking at personnel, and maybe you guys would peak throughout the summer or earlier in fall camp, but once you fully dive into the scouting report, Mike, for the other team, what's that like these last couple of days? They really start to, and I don't know if they still do put the whole game plan in during week 0 or just start to introduce stuff, or what do you guys typically do during week 0? But now, like I said, to be focused on South Florida and their quarterback and their schemes and all that, I mean, it does have to make it seem a little more real.
Right. Absolutely. I think, what they said last night, looking across and not going up against Jaden Virgin Morgan every day definitely changes the mindset that you have. Like, you can feel the urgency that starts to happen when you realize, like, you're in that bonus week, you're in a game prep week, like this is real and it's happening. So I personally loved that feeling when you transition from fall camp to bonus week, when you start realizing that, you only have a limited amount of days until it's time to go, and you're getting on the plane to go down there. So it's starting to get real for these guys, 100%. They're starting to feel it, and it's the most exciting time of the year. Obviously, the fans feel it, the players feel it, the coaches feel it. It's as real as it gets right now. Like you said, 8 days out. We're just about a week away, and I think that as the week goes on, like I was saying earlier, I think that they'll continue to see things and see what looks work and what works need a little bit of fine tuning throughout the bonus week, and then you get to the actual game week next week, and you can fully implement the game plan from there.
Yeah, don't peak. You better peak, but don't peak too soon, right? That bonus week, I'm sure those guys are chomping at the bit. But like you said, BJ, I mean, those guys not having to go against the starters and go through the grind of camp. It's a little bit more focused, right? Those focused reps and getting into the game plan. And I think that, that's different than what they've been going through, right? So it creates a little bit of an excitement, makes it more real. And I think these guys are probably, very much looking forward to getting through the week, fine tuning their game plan, perfecting it, seeing what works, like Mike said. And, maybe coaches have some things that, they wanted to go into it with, and maybe even in the start of camp, they're really trying to, create this install based off of film, and then you got to go execute it and see how the players execute it, because, there's a lot of stuff that coaches do, behind the scenes, and all that stuff looks great on the whiteboard, and it looks great through all the long hours of watching film. And you may think, hey, we can do this, we can do that. But if you go out there like during this week and it doesn't look too clean, some of those things get scrapped off that whiteboard pretty clean. So that's all the stuff they're doing right now. But it's exciting for sure.
Winston, were they doing the Inferno practices back when you were coaching, or did you ever do that when you were a player? Or
yeah. Well, it's crazy, man. We've had that indoor for quite a long time now. So, even when I came in spring of 2008, that indoor was there. I think it was a couple years old at that point. But the Inferno practice is nothing new to me, nothing new to the Broncos. I was joking around about it, I think last week or the week prior, just, if the media was showing up, because Dale's sitting there with the hose and they're wetting down that whole field, and you create a little bit of that humidity. And, it doesn't really necessarily feel great to start the day nice and wet and then go into an immediate sweat, but by any means necessary, right? And we're very fortunate to have that indoor to try to create and simulate that environment. So, yeah, man, well accustomed to it. Crazy thing is, I can almost guarantee you it didn't matter whether it was Inferno or outside in the heat. I bet you all those coaches were decked out wearing, their sweat jackets and getting an extra sweat in. I'm not too sure the players go that route. It might be, no shirt underneath the pads because you're going to be just soaking and drenching wet. But, fall camp and some of those Inferno days are always a time for, coaches to just drop a couple extra calories. There might be some soda pops or some things, some late night pizza going on in the staff room. So anytime you can get a little extra sweat in, it's always fun to do that. And which is just crazy, but because it's so hot in there.
And I think Mike Riley was saying, or one of them was, I think maybe it was Louder last night, said they've done 4 of them, 4 Infernos here. The last one was on Sunday, I believe, or Monday. I think it was Monday. So I know there's a lot of we talk about this. I know there's a lot of things you miss, but hearing there's 4 Inferno practices probably isn't one of them.
Not much. No, don't miss that whatsoever. And like we were saying, a couple years ago, I think 2 years ago, we decided to start wearing sleeves when we did our Infernos too. At least for the first day, having 4 of them, I don't know if that held up just because that's a lot of sweating, but we would go in there in sleeves and tights, and that was team wide for the first Inferno of the year. And I'll tell you what, those sleeves made it way harder. The last 2 years of Infernos were the worst 2 years for me. But
Matt said he lost 14 pounds on Monday.
Yeah, I believe it. The highest number that I've heard was 18 pounds in 2019. Matt Walker lost 18 pounds in that Inferno. But I've heard numbers ranging from anywhere between 10 to 15 pounds virtually every time we did an Inferno. The weight loss is no joke. You got to freaking hydrate the night before. You got to hydrate during the practice, and then immediately after. And immediately after is what gets guys, because that's where people tend to shut it down, but you don't realize how dehydrated you are. So you got to get on it right away, or else you're in trouble.
Yeah, we're always that sounds like some UFC fighters cutting weight, man. 20 pounds, 18 pounds. I can't imagine what those guys do.
You get it all back the next day. You just drink it and eat it right back, I'm sure. But
yeah, but those guys, it's super important, like Mike's saying, that post-practice and not understanding how much you need to refuel because, and obviously schools, Boise State does a great job with, the nutrition side of things, the performance side of things, but those are those easy ways to catch an injury the next couple of days, right? You're just a little bit dehydrated. Maybe you didn't rest as well that night, or maybe you did. Either way, you don't have that fuel back in your body. And then you go out for another tough practice just with the grind of camp. And then some of that soft tissue stuff comes up. So, and I know those guys are on it, but it's always you have to prepare, but there's always a risk with dropping 14, 15 pounds of water weight, stuff like that, while exerting yourself out there on the field. So that recovery piece is just as important. So those guys, man, when they get on that plane, they'll be hydrating a lot. They'll be hydrating that night, that morning, the whole day. And then, like I said, equally as important, go out there and get that win and get on that long flight back home. Got to hit the fluids, right? Just like they're preparing for these Inferno days.
And I know, Winston, we always – there's a lot of instances, but the one everybody always looks at is that Florida State game in 2019 where in the second half, Florida State just had guys cramping up left and right, and Boise State was losing in the game and made a huge comeback and looked like the stronger, tougher, more equipped team for the conditions on the road there in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I just remember, I remember guys on the sideline just calling dudes out, looking across the field and bouncing up and down, just – hyped because all their guys were dropping and cramping, and here we are. It just was like more fuel to the fire, right? And you got, good old Coach Pitt getting riled up on the sideline, things like that. But just a testament to how well we prepared. And, we can talk about the factors of the heat and the humidity, but it's nothing that Boise State hasn't been accustomed to. Going out to Virginia Tech, going out to Georgia, going out to, Florida State, like we're saying. It's definitely pretty cool when you see guys dropping out there and we don't have anybody cramping. So, I'm looking forward to something similar. And just because you're in that state doesn't mean we're not going to be prepared.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember that Florida State game too in 2019. That was my first travel trip. And I thought that it was normal to feel like that during a game just because it was the first game that I had seen in person until I realized after, 6 more years of college football that wasn't normal at all. But
Oh, go ahead.
I just think that, they, especially doing 4 Infernos, I think that the most important part of those Infernos is, like you said, when you're doing the UFC weight cutting at that point, the last few periods of practice, getting to feel what that feels like makes all the difference in the world, because you start feeling like that by the second quarter in those games. And having the wherewithal to still be able to perform at a high level when you're feeling like that is what separates us.
Absolutely. Mike, I was trying to think about it, and BJ, like Coach Danielson talks about just how much, creating some adversity and throwing some different chaos at these guys. And it's happened a couple times. And I want to say there's always been jokes like Coach Pete back in the day used to say, like, hey, we got to be prepared for anything, right? Even if a bus breaks down. And I believe we were out in Virginia Tech, and Coach Pete had said that at one point. But next thing you know, man, one of the buses broke down, and it was like nobody batted an eye. We got off the bus, loaded up onto the other bus, and kept it rolling, right? And I want to say in Florida State, we were not supposed to play at their stadium. And I can't remember the neutral site that we were going to play at. It was Jacksonville. So, right, we're down in Jacksonville, and, our hotel's down there and everything. And next thing you know, like I've even seen on the news lately, you got the hurricane season, and there was a storm or something flying through Jacksonville. So, I mean, on the fly, it was like, we're going up to their place. And I don't think, it was probably even like, let's go. Like, it doesn't matter. We're going to go up there. It's going to be even more of a home environment than it already was supposed to be. And Boise State went out there and did their thing. So, and I bring that up because, watching interviews with Coach D, that's what it's about, right? It's about creating any type of change, right? A sudden change, not just within the game, but a sudden change in a hotel. Maybe there's only a certain amount of hotel rooms available. Well, Boise State guys aren't going to bat an eye. If we got to sleep on a floor, double up on a bed, whatever, guys are going to do what they have to do, and it's not going to affect them going out there and putting their best effort into game time.
And there's I'll just use the word legendary stories from after the Florida State game of you guys had about 6-7 hours to kill before going to the plane, and you guys were apparently heading to local establishments around the hotel and other places, and then trying to. There were some great stories that Riley and Rid talked about. I know Garrett Cullingham and some other guys went and visited a bar there at Florida State,
if you get a guy like Garrett or Pistone on your show, you never know what you're going to get. I remember looking at Rid during that episode, and I was like, I don't know if Rid's liking this right now. But, hey, sometimes when you get done being a Bronco and you're with out of the building, sometimes those stories can come out. And that's what's fun, right? It's all good. And I'm not too sure all those stories. But, yeah, I'm sure we did have quite a bit of time to kill. And some guys had some fun, man. So. More power to him, man. Great win. Enjoy it. You're a college student. Don't get in trouble, but keep living.
And I know you got, but the night before the games in the hotel, those unexpected, 5 hours after the game. You guys spend so much time together as players, as coaches, as whatever as it is. But I would assume kind of that bonding time, especially on the road and going down 2 days early for this game. I would assume that's kind of the time where you guys really, have the moments that can make or break a season, so to speak.
Yeah, I'll go for it. Team chemistry, right? I think I've said it before, probably even on here, man. The teams with the best chemistry and have a culture, those are championship teams. You can't win championships without an elite culture and elite chemistry. And it's all about that type of bonding. It's all about riding that bus, long days, long trips. All those things are what creates the grind in summer, but it's not even really the grind on the field, right? It's hitting the river, hitting the lake, it's going bowling, doing all those type of stuff, barbecue with the boys, enjoying yourself as a college student, right? And the teams that do that the best, ultimately, those are the championship teams. If you watch any sport at the end of a championship and watch guys do interviews, they're going to talk about, these are my brothers and we're such a family. And yeah, sure, there's probably some teams that don't make it to a championship that feel the same way. But I think it's really special, and it has to be special in order to get that far, because you just go through so many ups and downs, and you got to have a lot of trust built within and confidence in each other. And all those things, they really stem off the field, right? And the time you spend to get to know your brother and get to know your brother's mom and grandpa and sister and brother. And the more understanding you have that at the big picture, there's more respect and trust built in, and that always leads to something great.
I feel like piggybacking off what you're saying there, so there's something to be said about, going through shared adversity together. something about that, brings the team closer together. The championship teams that I was on in my career, especially towards the last 2 years, the shared adversity that we went through, just, games not going the way we needed it to, earlier on in different years, and leaning on those experiences together. I think that kind of just brings that bond even tighter than it would be just doing stuff outside, going through the off season, building up that shared adversity naturally, prepares you for, say a bus breaking down at Virginia Tech, or a team having to, finding out a hurricane's hitting 2 days before the game and having to bus up to Doak Campbell in 2019. Those teams that go through those moments together are typically the ones that are able to, withstand the strain of the season as it wears on.
AP says, still waiting on Joe Southwick to do Riley and Rid so we can get the true balcony story.
A little Hawaii action there. I'll leave that to you, BJ. Get Joe on the show, man. Maybe he can fight for himself on that.
We've tried, but it hasn't never come to fruition. We're over a decade removed now. Maybe
no response from Joe, or what?
No, I think a decade's passed though. It's time. I think it's time Bronco Nation gets the true. You
might need a BNN after dark for that.
If you're hosting, we can get it done. Yeah.
Hey,
no doubt. Bronco 130 says, how early, Winston, do you get up in the morning to look that sharp?
Oh man, I got 2 kiddos, man. I got 2 babies, so I'm up. 5:30, 6:30. We're right around there. Make sure I get shower, brush my teeth, all those good things, and roll.
They're talking about that this hurricane's going to miss, but there is another disturbance, I guess, out there that could be a little bit of a factor. But everyone's hoping that. Let's not talk about that or deal with that. But
just don't bring it to the air. Yeah.
No. I want to get into the kind of the I know we have next week's show too, but just some key storylines and some things going into the season here, and get your guys' thoughts on that in just a second. But I do want to thank a couple sponsors that help make it possible for Winston and Mike to be on the show, and that's our title sponsor, roepaint.com, roepaint.com. All your painting needs, whether it's the interior, exterior painting, whether it's those concrete coatings. Our title sponsor, hit them up, Andy Rowe and roepaint.com. Hey, ICCU, Idaho Central Credit Union, they're now in the NIL game. Look at that, 7 new athletes from Boise State now part of ICCU. You see Cage Casey, Latrell Caples, Maddox Madsen from the football team. They got Pearson Carmichael, some other athletes as well. So ICCU, they're the official bank of Bronco Nation News. And now in the NIL game, helping out support Boise State. They're back in with Learfield. So return the favor, folks. Make the switch today. Idaho Central Credit Union online, ICCU.com. Hey, TacoBellWorks.com. They're doing a lot too. They've committed over $400,000 to endowed scholarships for the men's and women's basketball teams. The SOM Management Group, the Nicolason family, we appreciate them, their support. Food's great, and they're hiring as well. So if you are looking for a job, you can get more information at TacoBellWorks.com, or just go check out any local Treasure Valley at Taco Bell location. Hey, the trading cards from Jackson's, they are out. They're going to be showing up this week in the various stores, so be on the lookout for them. And the new trading cards are out. So Jackson's Extra Mile, you can get them. We already pulled the one-of-one Cage Casey on the show on randomly on Monday, Mike Prater and I. So you can't find that one. But a ton of great cards and autograph cards and all kinds of things in there. You can get them from our friends at Jackson's, and that's at Jackson's or Extra Mile. Make sure you check them out. Hey, the Blue and Orange Store, we had fun on Monday down there at the new Blue and Orange Store location at the Hall of Fame. Countdown to kickoff is on. They've got all your game day gear. So if you're heading down to Florida next week, or going to go join us for the watch party at Uncle Bob's Pizza, or whatever you have plans for game day, make sure you gear up with the new gear at the Blue and Orange Store. They've got over 4,000 hats at the Blue and Orange Store on that mega wall down there at the Boise State Hall of Fame. So make sure you check them out. The Blue and Orange Store, order anywhere in the world online at theblueandorangestore.com. And I mentioned Lithia, and they're doing NIL stuff as well. They got Latrell, they got Cage, they got some guys and girls in various sports. Fall kickoff sale is underway. Lithia Ford of Boise. Make sure you check them out. And again, whether it's athletes, whether it's your favorite coaches, I think they got Spencer Danielson in one of their F-150s. They got Jeremiah Dickey in a vehicle. So Lithia Ford of Boise, return the favor, folks. They're supporting Boise State as big as anybody in the Ford brand. So for that next car or truck purchase, make sure you get it at Lithia Ford of Boise. All right, guys. I know we're going to have kind of another show next week as more of a quote unquote season preview show or whatever. But I just, wanted to kind of get some big picture thoughts here. We're going to be watching practice here in an hour or so after the show, doing some interviews today. But just off what you've heard, what you've seen, we went into all these storylines going into camp. How are they going to, how's Maddox Madsen going to look? How are they going to replace Ashton Genty? Do they have any wide receivers that can step up with everybody they lost and all the guys they lost, like Mike Callahan on the D line? How are they going to replace all those guys? And is the secondary still going to give up all these big plays again? Where are you guys at in terms of, maybe one or two questions that you now feel really good about, and maybe we could start with that and then get into one or two that maybe we still have some questions about. But Mike, for you, what's been one of your biggest kind of positive storylines coming out of camp?
I think, I've been harping on this, but the biggest thing for me is that I believe this is going to be a player-led team, and that's a dangerous football team at the end of the day. When the coaches can give you a game plan all they want, but if it's not the player steering the ship on game day and through the week, it really doesn't matter. And I think that, the veteran leadership that we have coming back is second to none. I think that those guys, whether it be, Marco, Cage, Mad Dog, Jaden, Mason Randolph, guys like that. I think that, having all of that experience coming back is going to make a humongous difference for this team as the season goes on, both in terms of getting them, as dialed in, as focused as they can be during this bonus week right now, and making sure that guys aren't, slacking off and, going through the motions just because of how important both, those scout looks are, those service looks are, because there are a limited amount of reps that you can get from this point forward going into the first game. So having that leadership to align everything going into the first game, and also as the season wears on, and as this team experiences success, just because those guys have seen success now, they know what it looks like, they know what it needs to happen on a weekly basis. I'm super excited about where this team is heading as a result of being a player-led team. So to me, that's the biggest thing that stuck out from fall camp. I'm very excited about that. And, there's other storylines. We can talk about a bunch of other different things, but I think just having that aspect in itself is huge for a football program.
Yeah, I think, it's hard to, as a player, and especially in this generation, like to not be aware or at least see things on media. I mean, I know guys are on Twitter and, all the platforms of social media. So I just think a lot of this stuff fits right for Boise State and Boise State players. And what I mean is there hasn't been negative talk, but there are those question marks, right? BJ, right, Mike? I mean, there are some question marks. I think everybody in that program as a player is aware of somebody needing to step up and fill in some shoes, right? There are the question marks. They ran the ball a lot last year. Can they do that again? Does it need to be more of a balanced attack? So I'm hoping guys aren't diving too far into the media and letting it fuel them in a negative way. But I just think it's similar to what Boise State's accustomed to, a little bit of that chip on the shoulder, underdog mentality. And I know that we have consistent years of winning, but it usually starts like this, right? It usually starts with not having a certain position group, and then, hey, somebody's going to come in and carry the flag. Somebody's going to step up. So, you talk about the running back position. Obviously, there's a void there, but, hey, they got 4 or 5 guys that can come in there and take over. Who is it going to be? Don't know yet. And I don't think that's going to be answered until a few games through the season. And it might be one guy one game and another guy the next game. So I think some of these question marks that we do have, they'll be answered here shortly. But I get the sense and the feeling that the way the outsiders are looking in, me being a part of that outside group, hey, it's kind of set up for exactly what Boise State goes through. And then you look at the end of the year and we got 1 or 2 losses or no losses and going for another championship. So, hey, the standards are high. I know that they're always selected to win the Mountain West, and that hasn't always been the case. And it's a super high standard. But with some of this talk, I mean, it's going to take some time to see who does carry that flag. Is it Malik Sherrod? Is it, Breezy? Who is it, right? And those will be answered here shortly, and it'll be super exciting to see. But I don't see it being much different than some stuff in the past, right? Somebody's going to step up, coaches are going to do a great job scheming teams up. Heck of a coaching staff. I think last week, BJ, I think we talked about how I'm excited to see how the coaching staff meshes, how Nate Potter does, right? How that offensive staff collaborates with all those great minds they have in there, guys that have coordinating experience, a wealth of knowledge, and you put that together the right way, and those guys build team chemistry, some of that coaching chemistry, which, with a lot of these guys back, that's going to increase. So I'm just super excited to see who does answer some of these questions, but it seems very similar, and chip on the shoulder. That's that blue collar mentality that we've always had.
Is there one though for either of you guys that does stand out? I mean, you're both very positive guys. You're alumni, whatever. So I understand it. But is there, from a fan's perspective, is there something where you guys you're a little nervous about this position or this group, or you still have questions about it? I mean, I know you say all the questions are going to be answered, but is there something for you, Winston, where it's like, okay, I'm still not quite sold on this, or maybe I'll phrase it this way. If for some reason this season goes the way no one expects it to, guys, but if this team goes 8-4 or 9-3 or just doesn't have the year a lot of people expect, is there one what went wrong? What's the big thing that you think that just could be the thing that still kind of derails all the goals for this season here?
Man, tough question. Super tough question. I don't have a specific to that right now, but overall, I think just looking from last year, right? Can you hand the ball to one guy 30 plus times, right? And my answer to that right now, until we get that going, I would say no. You need to probably have a little bit more balanced attack. I mean, you had a very special group offensive line-wise from that running back position where I think across the Mountain West, everybody knew that we were going to run the ball, right? And nobody was really able to stop it. Do we have elite players? Sure, we have elite players, but they don't have the certain reps, game film. They don't have the resume right now going into the season. So for me, I would say, from that offensive attack, how well balanced can they be? Are the receivers going to step up? Is there going to be more of a balanced attack? Because I don't think you can rely on the run game as much as possible. So I'm not saying, if the boys go 9-3 or whatnot, it was all about the run game and the pass game. But I think that would be maybe that concern with looking into how well-rounded they can be on the offensive side. And then just back to defense, I think, we lost a great leader in Alexander Tubner. I think the secondary has some returners on the outside, Zion Washington back there, but you lost a lot of guys. They played with a lot of defensive backs last year. And going back to that Penn State game, there was only one linebacker on the field. So I think more on the defensive side, what does that depth look like? And I know that that's an issue for, everywhere, right? Whether it's D-line or whatnot. But I look at the running back position, they got too many dudes. I mean, somebody's going to step up there. Receivers, they're going to have some guys that step up, right? On the defensive side, I'm looking and I don't know who that 2 and 3 deep are as defensive backs, right? From the corner position and the safety position. There's some guys out there. I know Frankie Johnson's doing a great job, young guy, but once again, kind of some unproven guys that will get their reps and they'll probably have to step up. But last year, man, I mean, even guys like Rodney Robinson played a great role, and they had Shea Oladipo. And I mean, you had so many interchangeable parts that I think was really unique and valuable. And maybe towards the end of the season, we look and they have that. But right now going in, I don't see as much depth at some positions, like our tight ends. Awesome. You got 2 great tight ends, and then you got a couple more young guys below. So even if something happens to those older guys, all good. But from that secondary standpoint, and linebacker standpoint, there's going to be some young guys that are probably going to get thrown in the fire a little bit and see how they handle it. And
I know it's an obvious one, which is why you didn't mention it, Winston, but I think the 10 pressures they lose from Michael Callahan is really what we're trying to figure out how they're going to replace this year.
I mean, Big Mike Dog here is a 6-year leader out there, man. And that's don't sleep on that. But
I mean, those 10 pressures were game changers.
Game-wrecking, devastating pass rush loss. But no, I'm right there with Winston. I think that at this point, to me, that would also be, the only question mark that I have is what does it look like behind the guys? Just because staying healthy is, just in football, people are going to go down. People are going to get banged up. So what's that look like? There can't be drop off. So, how many guys do we have ready to roll at the end of the day? And a lot of that, in my opinion, also comes from who's traveling on special teams, like who earned those roles in camp and who's going to earn them this week. Guys that are ready to play when we're on the road, and guys that are actually suiting up. So I think having the best guys available, dressed up on the road, ready to go on the travel squad, I think that those will lead to some opportunities for some young guys to get, like Winston was saying, getting thrown in the fire, because at the end of the day, you only gain experience by actually being thrown into that fire. So I would say that's a question mark, but that's also an exciting aspect of football that I personally love is, getting to see guys getting their first reps and start figuring, getting their feet wet in college football. So I'm excited to see it, but at the end of the day, I'm just excited. I mean, I'll try. I know I'm a positive guy, but this is a damn good team at the end of the day, and I think that they're going to be ready to prove that in 8 days.
Yeah, it shows you where we're at with Boise State when I say, yeah, when they have a if they were to have a disastrous season, and then I said go 9-3. I
don't mind it, BJ. It's that, I don't mind that at all, man. I mean, I'm not going to be one of those guys that freaks out, right? But that's the position Boise State's put itself in. I mean, just go look at the records over the years. I mean, there's going to be some programs that are all about 9-3, 8-4, but that's just not the standard that's been built here. So I think our fan base gets a little over the top when there's one loss and it's like freak out mode, but like, let the season play out, let the boys roll, let them put their body of work together. And yeah, sure. I mean, 3-4 losses is not something that we're super accustomed to. And it's not anything that anybody inside that building is going to be happy about. So it's not a super knock talking like that. I think more of it is, how negative, the Twitter world and the fans get if that, one loss comes and maybe it's somebody that we shouldn't have lost to. I mean, it's like, hey, like we got more games, right? Like let it play out a little bit.
And I don't see that happening for the record this year. I mean, I think 10-2 is kind of the floor. I mean, I think this team is – the Notre Dame's going to be tough. I know the optimistic guys, both of you, I know fans out there say, yeah, that's a game they can go win. Like, sure, but if you're just playing percentages right now here in August, you probably chalk that up as a loss, just if you're looking at a big picture. And that may be it. I mean, I would say maybe one other game that you're not expecting. I mean, I frankly think next Thursday's game is going to be a little tougher than some people are giving it credit for. But if they take care of business, do it. There's too much talent on this team. I don't see this team losing more than worse, probably 2 games this year, to be honest, in the regular season. But if it were to happen, this was my number one concern right now is what Scott says here, Maddox getting hurt. I mean, that for me is the backup quarterback. And I know that's not something a lot of people, care to talk about, or it's not the sexy kind of thing. You'd rather talk about QB1 in that battle. But I think the QB2 battle, and we're going to find out, today at practice, who's taking those second team reps. And I guess the public will find out, Saturday when the depth chart's released. I wouldn't shock me if they put the or in there for those 2 guys. We'll see if they just make a decision or how they do that. But I mean, they're putting a lot of hope and faith in one guy and staying healthy this year, guys, at quarterback. And I'm not saying those other guys aren't ready, but they haven't done it. One guy has 0 snaps. The other guy has 3 or 4, attempts in his career and was a former walk-on. I just think that for a team that has huge goals and aspirations of the playoff, first time in a couple years here where there hasn't been an obvious guy waiting there that you feel good about at number 2. And that to me worries me a little bit. And especially with, I know Maddox showed a lot of toughness and it can stay out there and take some hits and things. But, when he scrambles on third down for some of those first, and that's a part of his game that they, have benefited from. I'm curious how they use him in the running game and how that plays out this year, and just knock on wood that he can play all 14 games this year. Because if he doesn't, that to me is the biggest concern right now is this number 2 QB spot.
Yeah. And, I think that goes for just any college football team as a whole. Your starting quarterback. I know that there's some, Power 4 programs that pay backup quarterbacks a ton of money and for that exact situation. But, keeping Mad Dog healthy. I think behind this offensive line, that's obviously going to be one of the key focuses. You have a lot of really, really stout pass blockers on that O-line, looking at Cage, Roger, Mason, and then looking at the other guys that'll be on that O-line. I feel good about the O-line, keeping them up. And also Mad Dog being smart and not taking those unnecessary hits. Like you said, when he's scrambling, he's got to get down or get out of bounds, because he's got to stay healthy. And, that's a given just in college football, with the quarterback situation, because it's not even, not taking a shot on the backup quarterbacks by any means. It's just that, having that experience that Mad Dog has now, you can't replace that. So he's got to stay healthy and he's got to stay on the field at all costs. I do agree with you in that, that's a fair concern. But, as long as he plays smart and they keep him up, he's going to be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one way you can help this situation is go out there and put a hurt into some of these boys so you can get some of these young guys some reps, and get them in there to gain their experience, right? And obviously that's what we'd all wish for as Bronco fans. But, you go back to it next, fast forward a whole year, right? Mad Dog stays healthy. They play in tight games. He plays every single game of the season, and neither one of these backup quarterbacks ever sees the field. So now what situation are you in? Of course, Mad Dog can come back and all those type of things. He's got a couple of years here, but you got to figure out ways to build that depth. And like Mike said, in the world of college football right now, I mean, super hard to do, depending on, the assets, depending on the financial situation you're in. And I think if you look at like a Mountain West conference and the schools that are within, there's not a whole lot of money going on. And I think, generating revenue has become such a big deal from every program. It doesn't matter if you're, P4 or whatnot. I mean, that's like the main focus right now, right? And it should be, and it is, because the athletics, they build such a big part of their programs, but you can then go in and get a young guy, help him develop and have him feel good and comfortable financially for his opportunity. Otherwise, if he's that good in a backup, like Mike said earlier, not having a drop off, there's going to be a drop off. If there's no drop off at some of these positions, some of these guys will then feel like they're starters, and depending on what they value, they're probably going to look for a different home so they can go play somewhere and be compensated and all those things, because that's just the world we're in, right? So there's a little bit of game that's being played. I think Mountain West schools are I'd like to take a dive into some of the other backups at other schools to look, but unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, money is a big part of that. And if you're that good and there's no drop off, man, good luck holding on to those kids.
Oh, there's been a couple of years where you could argue Boise State maybe had the two best quarterbacks in the Mountain West at times, with some of the guys waiting in the wings. So, and you know what? It's probably unfair too. I mean, it's nothing against Max Cutforth or Caden Annette. We just haven't seen it yet. I mean, and I guess at some point we hadn't seen Maddox Madsen either. So, I mean, I guess everybody, it's a lot of unknown, which does worry you. But as you said, Mike, every team, there's a reason there's a QB1 and there's a reason there's a QB2. So, I mean, it's a drop off no matter what team you go to. I just think in this case for Boise State, first time in a couple of years where it'll be at least on paper, a bigger drop off than they've had, or a little more questions than they've had, I guess is a better way to put it, maybe at that position in the last couple of years. We'll wrap up the show in a minute. I got one final thing for you, but do want to thank Snake River Pool and Spa, the spateam.com. You can check them out online. They're part of the Boise State home team, been around since 1978, locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Check them out. Whether it's a spa, whether it's a sauna, whether it's a pool table, dartboard, they got you covered. Snake River Pool and Spa, patio, and game. Hey, Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. We bought and sold our home using Matt and his team. Loved every step of the process. Kelly, the whole staff did a tremendous job. Highly recommend Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. Get more information. Check them out online at BauscherRealEstate.com. Hey, Ridley's Family Markets. They got 13 locations around the state of Idaho, surrounding states as well. Love that Kuna location. If you're heading up to McCall for a weekend, they have the McCall location as well. Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, all over the great state of Idaho and surrounding states for that matter. ShopRidleys.com. Download their Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Hey, if you're looking for a job, how about transportation compliance service? How about getting into the trucking industry? Maybe you never thought about it. Get out on the open road. Well, they can help you do that in no time at Transportation Compliance Service. It's a local company helping out folks all over the world. DOT, overweight, all the permits and things you need. They're ready to help you out. Transportation Compliance Service online, transcomservice.com. And hey, if you, we're definitely going to be taking advantage of this with Mike Callahan next Thursday on the post-game show. Speakpipe.com/BNN. You can leave us a voicemail. Speakpipe.com/BNN. You can go there anytime, day or night. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on an upcoming broadcast and on that pre- and post-game show next Thursday. That's brought to you by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, an inspection, they got you covered at Signature Roofing, online, mysignatureroofing.com. Hey, guys, I know you're jealous. Brad Bedell and I are boarding a flight this afternoon, heading down to Las Vegas. We're going to be broadcasting tomorrow and Friday from the Ultimate Contest weekend at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So still time to get in. $15 million guaranteed for the Survivor contest, $6 million for the Circa Millions contest. If you're interested in getting in, these are NFL pro football contests. You can reach out. We'll help you. If you're in the area in Las Vegas or want to make a last-minute trip, we'd love to have you join us for all the events tomorrow and Friday and Saturday morning. But if not, you can reach out. We can help sign you up. 100% legal to play anywhere in the world. You just have to sign up in Las Vegas, and we're excited to head down. We're going to have the owner, Derek Stevens, on tomorrow's show with Brad and I. We'll have some other interviews and folks coming up the next couple days. So excited to get down to Vegas this afternoon and have shows there the next 2 days. And Mike, excited for you for the post-game show a week from tomorrow. Uncle Bob's Pizza. Looking forward to that. 3:30 kickoff. You're going to be out there watching the game with folks. And I do want to circle the Thursday special there. I confirm this. Their typical Thursday special, half off all drinks, beer, wine, and cocktails. They are going to honor that Thursday special next Thursday for the game. So half off all beer, wine, and cocktails. If you want to take a half day of work, come hang out. 3:30 kickoff, South Florida. And then they're going to have a little halftime show, post-game show. Winston, Mike was actually saying he's very thankful because this is going to be his first game as an alumni, first game in 6 years, not, suited up with the boys. And he said maybe watching it in public with some fans is a little better than on his couch by himself, with the pillow in the window nearby or something. But we're looking forward, Mike, to having you out there and getting your instant insight there on the post-game show next week.
Yeah, and those half-off drinks are going to be dangerous. I'll put it that way. I know it's a Thursday, but sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
I'm taking care of your.
Let BJ take care of that other half for sure.
It is. Yeah, that is part of the. That's 100%. Part of the payment. That is 100% part of the payment.
Real dangerous then.
Yes, and hopefully, as you guys said, hopefully the game goes well and it's a party there in the second half, and everybody can have fun on the post game show there. But hopefully, folks will join us at Uncle Bob's Pizza. We're looking forward to that. And Winston, what do you think is going for Mike here? I mean, he's obviously first game removed. I mean, you're an alumni. I don't know if you remember the first game when you weren't, you're obviously playing pro ball, and so it was a little bit different, but. Mike's here still rooming with one of the coaches. I mean, it's got to be they're all leaving town. And he's going to be there by himself. I mean, it's going to be, I am glad we're for the mental state, getting him out with some fans here in public and let Chris and Nathan keep an eye on him for a few hours. But what do you remember? And I know it's a little different. I know, but Winston, you're still so passionate. I'm sure you're still as fired up as ever to watch these games.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. I mean, I do recall, being on edge, being nervous, glued to the TV if I could be, but, anxious, man, bouncing up and down. Interesting story though, when I was with the Bears in 2011 and, the Broncos were doing their thing. Kellen was still around. A bunch of my former buddies were still around just for that first year out. But I got cut for a couple days from the Bears, and they said, "Hey, where do you want to fly to?" They take care of your flight. So I said, "Shoot, man, we got TCU on the blue." So I flew to Boise, watched TCU beat Boise on the blue, and I felt like I should not have been there. Like I was a part of that loss or should have been watching that from home or something. Like, man, I should not have been there for this game. But yeah, man, I think it feels much different. Yeah, a little bit of anxiousness and all that. But it's out of your hands at that point, and you got to try to enjoy it. It does feel a lot more, a lot different now compared to being fresh out. I think I enjoy the games. I still am very passionate and on edge and watching and all of those things. But you got to go through some years and some bumps and bruises along the way, and then it just kind of settles a little bit. But like you said, BJ, I'm a passionate guy, man. Not too many losses. Never lost on the blue. Only one loss as a Bronco. Very prideful to say those type of things. So anytime the boys lose or don't play to the standard that I know that they can or that I'm accustomed to, never like it. Never feels good. And yeah, man, I don't get too fired up when the boys don't play to that standard, man.
And I know we'll have you on next Wednesday, Winston. So maybe we can get an official kind of unofficial kind of pregame pep talk. We can get you to just speak directly to Bronco Nation and the players here next week. So we'll give you a week to think about that, and then we'll play it again in our pregame show, and maybe let some of the players catch wind of that. I know for you, Michael, I think you're going to join the Riley and Ridge show next Tuesday night. It'll be your appearance before the game with Bedell. Now, you talk about drinks flowing and things like that, Winston. We got Rid and Bedell and Riley and Michael Callahan next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. That could be that one could be one to monitor.
Yeah, be a bunch of waters on the table that may not be water. Or a couple things.
Give away the secret there, Winston. Come on.
A couple things going down off the screen. It's no secret.
Taking an Uber.
There you go. But Mike, for you, I don't know when it's going to hit you, whenever they all leave for the flight, or when you see that first thing when they show up at the stadium, or when I know there's been a lot of these moments we've talked about, but in terms of that first game, what as we get every day closer, when for you is it starting to get a little weird?
It'll probably get weird for me the morning of the game, because I'm going to be good all the way up until then, and then the morning of the game, once the hype's in the air, like they're playing football today, that's when I'll probably start to feel it. But I'm not sure. I'm just hoping that I don't turn Boise State into the way that I watch Boston sports, because I don't watch Boston sports healthily by any means. So I'm hoping I can be a little more civilized about that than how I am watching the Red Sox right now.
Mike, we're praying for just great football and a bunch of wins. Otherwise, Mike's TV screens might take a hurting this year. Sounds of it.
Yeah, we may need to have for that first game. I may need to have our camera guy there at Uncle Bob's kind of have a little isolation camera for part of the game on Mike, that we
can get all the reactions, real live
big sack or something where he's pumping his fist. We need some plays to show back, good reactions, hopefully, that we can play back on the post game show, I think, and at some point. But
there'll be some highs and lows, but Mike, there will no doubt about it be a nice wave of emotion probably for a while I'm out for a long time. Still get it, man. So you're in for a treat, brother.
It's gonna be a blast. I'm fired up.
Well, appreciate you guys for jumping on again. We'll dive more into the season and the actual matchup with South Florida on next week's show for both of you guys. But Tuesday night you can hear and see and meet Michael Callahan at the James next Tuesday, 8 o'clock with Riley and Rid and Brad Bedell. And then Wednesday morning, before I fly out to Florida, I'll jump on with Winston and we'll talk tomorrow, next Wednesday as well. So appreciate both you guys as always for hopping on, and looking forward to a fun season, man. It's crazy that we're basically officially almost in game week here, as this would be 8 days from kickoff. So it's exciting. We made it through the off season was long, but we got through it, and we're game week, and next time we talk to you guys, we'll be within 48 hours of kickoff. So looking forward to it, and appreciate both you guys for jumping on.
Appreciate you, man. Looking forward to it. Go time.
Let's go.
Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. And don't forget, tonight, 8 o'clock, Ball Talk, Mike Sanford, John Mallory. That'll be tonight at 8 o'clock, and that is for subscribers on the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. If you are a paying subscriber of BNN, we put a private link up on the VIP message boards. You can go get that to watch the show tonight. We'll email it out hopefully as well, but go to the VIP message boards, get your private link, and you can watch the show tonight. And you still have time. $5 a month. You can subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Take advantage of our 50% off fall camp offer. And then you can watch all of our shows, but including tonight's Ball Talk, Sanford and Johnny. That is subscriber only tonight, 8 o'clock, as they debut season 3 of their show. So have a great rest of your day. Appreciate Mike. Appreciate Winston. We'll talk to you guys later. And Brad Bedell and I will talk to you live from Las Vegas on tomorrow morning's show. But first, we're going to head down to practice here shortly and get some footage and interviews, and looking forward to getting down to practice today and and checking things out. So have a great day. We'll talk to you guys later. We'll see you in the message boards. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. Take care, everybody.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cards are here, and you can only get them at Jackson's.
Start collecting them today.
Jackson's, let's go!
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with a room to haul your payload or flayload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.